Hello, Alma Ziv.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So you're joining my program, and I feel privileged because you're only 13, right?
Yes, thank you.
And you're going to talk to us about your interest in movies. And we're going to start kind of a segment that today is the first one. And hopefully we'll have a few more. And I'm really looking forward to it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where did this interest in movies come from?
Well, my name is Alma. I'm 13 years old, and around a year ago, I started watching behind the scenes videos about how to make movies, and I got very interested in this. I started doing a bit more research. I learned all about writing scripts. I did a few online courses and watched a lot of videos analyzing movies. So I eventually taught myself how to do so.
Okay, amazing. I'll just have to ask you to just either raise your voice a little bit or maybe the mic is not just in front of your mouth.
Okay. Yeah.
Better, better. All right, so the first movie you picked is The Shining. And
Yeah.
sorry?
Yeah. The Shining was directed by Stanley Kubrick. It was released in 1980, based on a Stephen King novel of the same name. This, this stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Danny Lloyd as the Torrance family. And I find this movie really scary. It's one of the best horror movies of all time, in my opinion.
Okay. So it was created 40 years ago, and you're 13, so I can't not ask you, how come? Why this movie?
Um, First of all, this was the first and only horror movie that my mum would watch with me, and she would
Okay.
allow me to watch. So I started with that. And then I got very interested in it. It was a very good movie. It was terrifying, and I really liked it. It wasn't like other horror movies, so it stood out to me. And
Okay.
since I'm only started watching horror movies a couple of years ago, and that was recently, like more recent horror movies and newer ones that were released in the last decade or so. So the different styles of how this evolved and everything was really cool.
Okay, so for those of us who are not familiar with this movie, can you just tell us in short what the plot is about?
Yeah, so this movie is about a man called Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, and he is a writer, an author, and he gets a job as a winter caretaker for a hotel called the Overlook Hotel. So he and his family go there to stay alone in this hotel for a couple of months, just to look after it until it opens again for after the winter. And slowly, but very slowly, Jack he goes insane. I think from isolation, but it's a very open movie up to interpretation. It's very good. I do suggest watching it. Yeah.
When you say open to interpretation, can you elaborate?
There is a scene in the movie, and if you've read the book, there it could there are different interpretations for it. The hotel could be haunted. Jack could be seeing things. He could be hallucinating, or there could be something about The Shining, which I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of like a telepathic thing that's explained a little bit in the movie and in the book as well. Yeah. And it's about in the movie, there's a scene where one character explains it to Danny, the boy, and he says that places can shine too. So this leads to theories about the Overlook being a place that can shine.
Okay, so what it is kind of you need to have special powers or like
Yes.
it's not everyone is equipped with it.
Yes, this is explored more in the sequel.
Okay, we'll talk about the sequel towards maybe later, but
Yep.
let's talk about the movie itself. So it's a horror movie, but it left you with what? Like when you watched it, were you like kind of enjoying it in a way, even though it's horror?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, so what was it in that movie that made you, go wow?
Well, as I said before, this wasn't like other horror movies that I've seen because I've seen more recent ones. So going back 40 years, seeing um, this was amazing. I really liked it. The acting was incredible, especially from Jack Nicholson. Every scene he was in was terrifying. And yes, so the camera movements themselves, the music had excellent sound design. There was a scene where the boy was riding a little tricycle along the hallways, and it was going over floorboards and carpet. The sound design for that scene was incredible, and I don't think I've ever seen something like that before, so it stood out.
That particular scene.
Yes, there's a scene where it's not really a scene; it's just a long shot of the boy Danny. He's riding this blue tricycle through the Overlook Hotel. It's a very low shot. It's like a snake or something stalking Danny from below. And the sound design, it's listening to Danny's wheels going round and round over smooth, hard floor and then going onto a softer carpet. So it shifts in between the loud, not very smooth sound from floorboards and plastic wheels to the softer carpet kind of, yeah, it was really amazing. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, well, I think you just did very well because it's very special. Have you watched other movies Stanley Kubrick directed?
I want to. Yeah, I
Okay,
really do.
because I think that this particular one is the credits go to the director who
Yeah,
found the way to demonstrate whatever he wanted to demonstrate.
yeah, he's explored this in multiple genres as well. He's done other movies, period pieces like Barry Lyndon. Then there's a horror movie like The Shining. There's also 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is more sci-fi, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And and he does amazing in every movie he does. It's amazing. It's really
Okay.
good.
Okay. Now you mentioned there's something very special in the credits at the beginning when the movie starts.
Yes, I find the opening credits the scariest bit in the entire movie, even though it's just a few words rolling up through a screen. It's really incredible. Stanley Kubrick manages to um, set the tone immediately through this like 2-minute segment. So it's a shot of a yellow car driving through a winding road, through the mountains, through forests, beautiful scenery, and there's also music over it, very loud music, which also sets the tone. And I can explain that
Please
because
do.
this music, there's a few notes in this song, and this song itself, the music, those few notes have been associated with death for over 800 years. Those notes are called Dies Irae. They used to be a funeral chant. They were for, yeah, a very ancient funeral chant. Then this was slowly adapted into Mozart symphonies and requiems, stuff like that. This was then put into movies and has been associated with death scenes. You can hear those four notes in nearly every death scene. In Mufasa's death from The Lion King, in Star Wars when Luke's aunt and uncle died, in A Wonderful Life when I forgot the character's name, uh, George something
Yeah.
wants to end his life. He doesn't want to continue anymore. He's standing on the bridge yelling. You can hear these notes in a lot of movies. And in these opening scenes are the first four notes you hear in the entire movie, the first sound you hear when you go into the cinema and sit down, and that sets the tone immediately. It's already terrifying. Plus, combined with the shots where it's just a small yellow car winding down the road, um, they're very wide shots. They're from a bird's eye view, kind of, and this already sets the tone of the theme of isolation for the entirety of the movie. So you sit in this theater, you see these opening credits, you already know it's going to be terrifying. I find that incredible. Stanley Kubrick really did really well with this, and they're just the opening credits.
So if let's say if I see it for the first time, and I'm not familiar with the history and the analytics that you've just provided, what are the odds? What is it in that music that I will also get the feel that I'm about to watch a horror movie?
It's very loud, and actually subconsciously you already recognize those notes from other films you've seen. It's very common, and it's been associated with death. So if you see other movies, you're used to hearing this sound. You're used to it being a sad, heavy kind of melody. Plus, with the huge string, the sound of the giant string orchestra, and it's amazing. It's very loud, it's overpowering, and you feel powerless when you hear this music. So you can already tell this is going to be a very strong kind of movie.
Okay, and I think, and this is what you're trying to say, this got you and like kind of attracted you and made you like more look into it. Obviously, you did more of an analytic, I don't know, overview because you're now telling me about the camera and the music and the combination of both. So you're very much into it, and that's really great.
Yes.
Are there any more scenes that you find outstanding that you would like to mention?
Obviously, there are some spoilers in this scene, but um, the most amazing scene I found is when Jack is axing down the door. That is incredible. The camera works with a whip pan. So this, if you look from an analytical perspective, you can see that the center, the focus of this shot isn't Jack who's axing down the door, it's the axe itself. This shows it. And it's kind of from the overlook's perspective, like the entire movie. There's the overlook is putting power into every swing with the axe, and it's incredible. Then you have the amazing acting, the incredible lines, iconic lines, and yes, it's amazing. You have the entire build-up from the movie to this moment, and
Have
it's
you
a
watched? Yeah.
it's a very important scene.
Okay. Have you watched other movies with Jack Nicholson?
I think so. Can't think of any right now, but I've definitely seen others. I think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Have
Was
you
that
watched it?
another?
I was just about to mention this one, linked in a way. It's not the same.
It's not the
Um,
same.
it's not the same, but well, Jack Nicholson already, he's got his credits already. It's not
Yeah, he
anything he
did
does.
very well with this movie. It's
Okay,
amazing.
all right. I did read somewhere that the movie, when it was just released, it really got like bad criticized, including by Stephen King himself, who, as you mentioned earlier, wrote the novel.
Yeah.
And then slowly, the movie got a little bit like more, became a bit of a favorite, I would say. Why,
Yeah.
to your opinion, it happened?
Well, Stephen King, I heard that he didn't like the movie because it didn't adapt from his book very well. He
Okay.
was a very loose adaptation. Um, I don't think it was very popular because this was a very different movie from what was used to it, since it was released in 1980. The 1970s horror movies like The Exorcist, The Omen, they're very different styles. They're more jump scare horrors, not psychological horrors like this, The Shining. And I think maybe people weren't ready for that. I'm not sure, but yes.
Okay, so he actually opened the door for many more to come. Would you say that this is the kind of like a genre that you would prefer or like rather than others, like the psychological horror movies?
I do like psychological horror movies. They are one of my favorite genres, so yes,
And why
I
is
enjoy
that?
them a lot. I like being scared. I don't know why, but I find it fun, and from since I'm very interested in this theme, every single time you see a psychological horror, since it's psychological, there's a reason behind everything. The
Correct.
camera angles, the sound design, the music choices, the actors, the blocking, the staging, the lighting, everything. It's amazing, and I get to analyze that, see my interpretation of it, and then I can do more research, see the director's interpretation of it.
Amazing.
And yeah, so
You're very
films
much
that are
into it.
more, yes, I am. Yeah, films that are more catered to psychological thrillers or horror movies, anything has to do with how a person interprets it usually. I find that very interesting.
Okay. So you mentioned the sequel, Doctor Sleep, and it was released about a year ago, if I'm not mistaken. Have you
Yes,
watched it?
I did. It wasn't that great. I mean, the acting was incredible, but when it's compared to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, it doesn't come anywhere near it. Not close
Okay.
at all.
Okay. So would you like to mention who directed and who were the actors?
I don't know who directed it. I don't remember. The
Okay.
actors, I think it starred Rebecca Ferguson and Ewan McGregor. They
Mhm.
did amazing. They did a really good job. It wasn't their fault that the movie didn't live up to its prequel.
You know,
I don't
sometimes
think,
that's the problem with sequels.
yes, it's a very common problem.
Yes. Okay. Anything else you think that you want to add before we close off?
Not really. I just think it was a very good movie. I do suggest everyone should watch it at least once in their life. I'm warning you, it is very scary, so maybe watch it with someone else and not at night, probably.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I would like to thank you so much for joining. Do you know already what will be the next movie we'll discuss?
I'm not sure. I do have a few ideas, but I'm not sure.
Perfect.
I think maybe a Quentin Tarantino movie. He's very good.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Alma. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you for
And
having me
we'll
on.
talk soon.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.